Alex Bernard. Summer weekends on Brisbane's own 1116 4BC.
Great to have your company this afternoon. The penultimate episode of Summer Weekends. And undoubtedly one of my favourite things about doing the summer program has been My City, My Story, where we talk to interesting people from our hometown, the River City, about why they've chosen to make their home here and what is it about Brisbane that they love and how they've contributed. Well, my guest this afternoon, wow, has he contributed. And I love the fact he is such a wonderful Brisbane product, born in Brisbane. He got his medical degree from UQ and he's gone on to do amazing things, including start the AEIOU Foundation, which we're going to talk about. But I would like to welcome to the studio Dr James Morton. Thank you for coming in, James.
Thanks, Alex.
You are as Brisbane as they come, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm pretty Brisbane, yeah.
Where were you born?
I was born at the Royal Brisbane, or I guess the Royal Women's Hospital as it was in those days, as were my four brothers and sisters, and we grew up in Tarragindi,
south side.
And I went to Marshall Road State School and then to Brisbane State High, and I married a girl from Holland Park West, and we now live at Mount Gravatt. So we're not only very Brisbane, but we're very south side of Brisbane.
Oh, you are.
Never does one cross the river, Alex.
Do you know, I'm from northern New South Wales, and when I moved up here 15 years ago, I didn't ever realise that by moving to a certain part of town, I went to the inner west. West is best. And I've never lived anywhere else. I can't not live in the west.
It's a real Brisbane thing. I mean, I've the first ever house I bought was Cannon Hill, just nearby here in the old days of the cattle yards. And worst thing I ever did was to sell that house. And then we had a house in Carindale, and as I said, now at Mount Gravatt. So you do stay with what you know.
That must be really nice, though, to see all those things around you. I mean, obviously changed slightly now, but to have so much that is familiar in your life.
Oh, well, you know, our children go to the same school where my wife went, and the funny thing was one of her teachers was still there.
Oh, see, I love that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
St Agnes's at Mount Gravatt. So, it's... that's very, very Brisbane, I think.
It is very Brisbane. And you got your medical degree at UQ, University of Queensland, and then you, as a lot of people do once they finish study, you moved away with work. Where did you go?
I went to Seattle. So I did a fellowship in the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Centre. The Fred Hutchinson Cancer Centre was the first centre in the world to do bone marrow transplants in the late 1960s and early 70s. And being a leukemia specialist, I was very interested in bone marrow transplantation when I did my haematology training. So did a fellowship over there. When you go to the big American institutes, you get paid very little. So I was supported as a Leukemia Foundation scholar to do that. And the amazing thing about that place was you would be sitting in a room discussing a patient, and there would be 12 world experts around the table who you'd be discussing with. So it was a tremendous experience, and we lived there for about... I think probably I was there for about 18 months. Louise was determined that we wouldn't stay, so we conceived in San Francisco on a holiday, and I came back when Annabelle, our first, was born in 97.
And how did you find going from Brisbane to Seattle?
It was very different. America's very different. Well, it was, yeah. Well, what they say about Seattle is true. It has these 3 wonderful months a year of summer, and then it rains or drizzles the rest of the time. One of the things I remember was on the first day of summer, Seattle's based on lakes, and then they open up into Puget Sound, which is the most wonderful area. And the first day of summer, they would all be out in their boats going through the locks, and they would all come back late at night, and they would be burnt to a cinder. And you realise when you travel around Europe or America how far ahead we are with preventative health in Australia with the sun campaigns when you see what people do.
That's really interesting. And so how long were you in Seattle?
So I was there for a year and a half and published a few papers and that sort of thing. And then we came back to have Annabelle, and it took a little while before I got a job at the Royal Brisbane in the transplant unit. So I started in private practice at that time, which is now where I spend most of my time in private practice these days. Unfortunately,
you're probably kept pretty busy.
Very much so, yes. Way too busy, yeah.
What's the leukemia rate like?
It's a hard number to define, but...
Is it increasing or decreasing, or has it stabilised?
Well, one of the major conditions I treat is lymphoma, and that certainly is on the increase. Lymphomas are tumours of the immune system, so we treat a variety of disorders. Leukemia is but one. Leukemia is a very varied disorder, from the acute leukemia, which is what everyone associates, to the more low-grade or chronic leukemias. So
leukemia is cancer of the blood, isn't it?
That's correct, yeah. And lymphoma is cancer of the immune system, and myeloma is another tumour that I deal a lot with, which is another cancer of the bone marrow.
And so you got your degree at University of Queensland, which has a wonderful reputation. How do you find that having gone on to do the specialties that you have and having worked in Seattle with leaders in their field, how did you find that UQ stacked up?
Oh, very good. I think the thing about Australians, and particularly Queensland doctors, is we're very well trained clinically. We perhaps do less research than other places do on our training, but when you go to Australians are very sought after in the States medically because we are so well trained clinically. So that's something your viewers can be listeners can be very confident about with the standards of medical specialists. And like many Australians, when I was over there, I got offered an academic appointment on finishing, which is what Louise was worried about and why she stopped taking those tablets without telling me. And
I like Louise's style.
Oh, yes. No, well...
happy wife, James.
There's no one more Brisbane than my wife, let me tell you. So, yes, and Australians have a great work ethic. And wherever you go overseas, Australians are sought after because we work hard. Yeah. And...
I know in the English hospital system they love Australians, especially Australian nurses.
Anyone Australian, I think it's part of our culture that we work hard and we play hard, but we do mostly put in an honest day's work, and I think that's very respected around the world, and certainly it is medically.
Dr James Morton, my special guest for My City, My Story. Now, last night we still saw at the zoo in the Valley they had the Shave for a Cure party. You actually started Shave for a
it's a really good story, the Shave for a Cure. When I came back from America and started doing work in private, one of the first fellows I looked after was a guy called Eric Graydon, and Eric was from northern New South Wales. And when you're diagnosed with leukemia and you're not from a city, you have to pick up your life and move your life to come to that city to receive treatment for a long period of time. And the thing that the Leukemia Foundation has done for years is provided fabulous support for those patients and accommodation. It makes my life much easier. And as I mentioned, I was also a leukemia-funded scholar when I went to the States. Anyway, Eric's family was so appreciative that they held a shave in Lismore. And they had, I think from memory, about 80 people shaved their heads and they raised $50,000. And I was doing a talk sometimes afterwards, and I finished off my talk, which was telling them what I did in America, by saying, this family's done this, we should create the world's greatest Shave for a Cure, because if we made this bigger, it would raise lots and lots of money. I think there's a bit of scepticism at the time, but I worked with two brilliant fundraisers for 3 months in that first year, and we raised $300,000. I don't know if that was 98 or 99, and that was where it all started. It's this year it'll pass $100 million, so it's been an amazingly successful concept.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's just amazed me how people embrace it and
have
get
you
involved.
Shaved your head, James?
Look, I did the first 2 years.
Because I was about to say, you've got a beautiful head of hair.
Not when it's... my wife said after the second year that's enough because it doesn't look so good with no hair on it. But I had this photo, which, you know, as time would tell, is very significant because it was with my little boy just after he was born, Andy, when I shaved my head the second time, and Andy would have been... a couple of months old at that stage, and I'm picking up and he's got no hair and I've got it. Little did we know that he would go on to have autism, which was where the other project came from. But she said after the second time, look, it's a bad look. You've got a pretty ugly head. I don't think you should do it again.
Louise is smart and honest. I'm liking
Oh,
more
yeah,
and
very
more.
honest, yeah.